To the point, informative, entertaining, and protecting the Second Amendment. Welcome back to Elster's Rifles and Reloading and part 2 of this PSA media event video series. Now, just to give you a quick lowdown what's going on, part 2 here. We went over and toured the DC Machine plant in Summerville, South Carolina, where they make your PSA barrels and other miscellaneous AR parts, such as barrel extensions, gas blocks, you name it. And immediately after that, we went over to the Summerville Palmetto State Armory retail store, which happens to be PSA's largest retail store in the United States. Now, before we go on with this video, I just want to give you guys, my viewers, a quick lowdown on the incoming Firearm series that should be here starting next week or the week after, and it is going to be amazing. Trust me on that. I actually have this special AR upper that's insanely accurate, and it's in this box right here, and it is very special. I'm also going to be putting that AR upper on this particular Palmetto State Armory F-Cancer lower, and I'm going to top that upper off with the Nikon Black FX1000 6-24 MOA flavor scope with illuminated reticle, and also the Nikon Black Precision mount with the switch view. Enough of the BS, let's get this going. So we're at DC Machine right now, and this is where they make the PSA barrels. And some parts of the factory I can't record, but the ones I can, I'll definitely get it for you guys. Let's get this going.
Main section of DC Machine. As a matter of fact, let me back up a little bit. DC Machine was started about 15 years ago, and it got its start really from motorcycle parts, chopper parts. Back when Orange County Chopper and Jesse James and everybody like that had to have a $100,000 chopper. That's DC Machine, Dev Chopper. Well, somebody came to the owner and said, "Can you make a AR barrel?" And he did, and it turned out to be really good. And 15 years later, we're the #1 producing AR barrel manufacturer in the world. Our scrap rate is less than 1%, or our customer return rate is less than 1%, which is around automotive. And we tried to do that by monitoring the processes instead of monitoring the part. If we look at the process, we can determine what is going to fall out first. Well, anything with a drill, the drill bit is going to dull, so we'll get a text to our phone. Something is out of tolerance, so we can address it at that machine immediately. But in this first area is shaft. What everybody calls the profile of the barrel. It's a 9mm, 10.5 inch. Doesn't even really need that because there's no gas system on a 9. People like to see that. But that's basically, that'll be a 9mm by this afternoon, or later this afternoon.
We're in charge of the barrels that comes from shaft before it gets chambered in on the end. So we basically, this is a MAR program, and we measure all the dimensions from the diameter all the way up to the length throughout every.
So from the muzzle to the rifling lands.
Yeah.
Yep.
We measure every dimension of this barrel, basically from front to end, width, diameter, all kind of stuff, and run out.
So how often do you do that? Like every?
We do it. I tend to do it probably once every hour.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's like 12 machines on this side, and we do the same thing on the chamber end as well. So there's like 24 machines total we do for. Making sure the thread is pretty good for the major and minor and the pitch and everything else. We use these thread gauges over here and chamfer gauges just to make sure everything's in spec. Chamfer gauges. We use thread gauges right here, the gold gauge, no-go gauge, make sure everything's intact. we use these slip gauges just to make sure that the gas
block will
gas
clear.
block will go up clear. We use pin gauges to make sure it has the right width of the muzzle as well. And after that, we basically come over here to the MAR and measure everything out. So if anything comes red in the MAR, we usually go by hand with the height gauges or any other micrometer or calipers or anything else, and make sure that everything's in spec. So basically, I put it in there and put the program in there, which is a 16-inch 7.62 heavy barrel. So we like on the red right here, wherever it has some problem with, which is the major diameter, which means it has something to do with the thread itself. So I just usually use a pitch micrometer or use a regular micrometer to see if there's something between the pitch that's wrong or the diameter of the threads itself.
So if you end up with just a horribly bad barrel, what does that do to the line? Do they go and pull?
I actually stop that machine right then and there. If something's like really wrong, especially when it has to do with the gas line and everything else, I stop the machine right then and there to see it, and I grab another part just to make sure it's just not a fluke or anything like that.
Right.
And the same thing happens, then I'm just gonna go ahead and tell them you need to stop, and I grab the right person, the machine setup guy, to make the corresponding adjustments, and I redo the parts all over again. But they won't keep making it at all. I just stop them right there. So when I do it, an hour, like once an hour check, probably past, I say about 20 parts or so, 15, 20 parts or whatever like that before it's caught, because like I said, it's 24 machines. I can't check every single barrel out of 24 machines, you know. So I'll say probably about 15 to 20 will probably
so do
slide.
they go, is there a way to distinguish between that machine where you had a bad barrel at noon and the machine's been running since 6 o'clock, you can go back and check those?
Oh yeah, because they line it up in a certain way inside the crate, so we can backtrack and see which one, where it started and where it ends.
I have a serious question.
Yes.
You got your own AC in it, and you got special padding on the floor. So what kind of special pool you have? Around?
Yeah, you been here for a while?
I've been here for 3 years. So.
3 years, that's all it takes, right there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I can't help it. I keep it here trying to clean.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for making freedom.
Smells like freedom in here, bud. What are you doing?
I'm currently, these are the 9mm 10 inches.
Okay.
I'm currently filing them now just to get that little rough edge smooth right here in the middle.
Okay.
And then once I finish that, these will be finished. I'm getting it from my product. This is how it look before I put it in the machine.
All right.
And then this is what the machine does. It make that little glue right here and then put that little hole right here.
They're already cut. Got chamfer on both ends. One's a big chamfer, one's a little chamfer. They gun drill it, they'll rifle it, chamber it. They do everything except for literally cutting the bar stock to the length that you need. It's shipped like that.
Oh, okay.
Part left is chamber. We have 12 chamber machines. So between those 12 machines, we're taking what we saw over in shaft and then basically putting that chamber in there. We have specific chamber tools. They do cut to mil spec, it's just they cut a little bit faster. 3 seconds, 12 seconds, not so much, depending on the barrel. 3 to 12 seconds is really going to make a big difference when you're producing 12,000 a day. But again, all of these are being monitored. Machines will run 1 part every minute and 30 seconds. 2 of those parts go over to the quality lab. They're inspected, and as soon as they get inspected, the team over here that's running them is alerted what needs to be adjusted. If nothing does, they don't get an alert. What happens in this process, parts are being submitted to quality for inspection. And quality identifies the problem. It shows up on my phone or shows up here. You notice in the upper left-hand corner, it just went away. No, there it is. I don't know if you can see it, but that 142 has a red line around it. That's identifying the problem that needs to be taken care of before that whole cell turns red. If that whole cell turns red, then that's a bad part. This is basically where all of the barrels begin. They start off like those in the tub. QA2 is probably our most important to the barrel manufacturing process because we're actually checking the rifling and the bore. So when it gets gun drilled, we measure it with the bore. When it gets rifled, we measure it with the rifling gauge. The thing that I really want to point out is this accuracy. For some reason, the human can measure the volume of air being pushed through a hole better than they can measure the hole. So this diameter can be, or I can measure a diameter to 20 millionths of an inch with either of these. So if I have an inch, I divide it 20 million times, that's the accuracy that these gauges can measure. And we do that every day. Now, we're not holding 20 millionths tolerance. We're holding plus or minus 4/10, plus or minus 8/10. But Erin, who runs the lab, is literally taking at random any of the barrels in gun, drill, and rifle, bringing them in, and she'll test them for the diameters, both the gun, drill, and rifle diameters. She'll check them for surface finish. Zane, no, not Zane.
Behind you.
No, I was talking to somebody about surface finish. What's your name?
Todd?
Todd.
Yeah, with
The surface finish.
okay, the last half inch of that barrel.
So, yeah, basically, I know you're not going to be able to see it, but I'll hold it up. There is a 2-micron radius diamond on the end of, on the bottom of this needle. What that 2-micron radius can do is get down into the cracks and crevices of a machined part. It doesn't have to be a barrel, it could be just a flat surface as long as it's machined. It could get you be the surface finish of glass. How smooth is that glass? Well, it's going to be 200 millionths or whatever. I'm not sure how to measure it. It'd be arc seconds actually. But in our world, we're measuring the roughness average. And it's usually, Aaron, what's your roughness average on a barrel? What's it supposed to be?
I thought 15. The last one was 6.39.
So we hold the process control from 32. If you look at a mil-spec drawing, the surface finish of a barrel is supposed to be 32 or better. She is expecting to see 15 or better, but she really, in actuality, sees 5. So I would say that our barrels have a very good surface finish. They're 4 times better than mil-spec. So who wants a mil-spec barrel? The small machine behind you is a coordinate measuring machine. to give you kind of a mental idea of what it does, it's a high-speed measuring robot. Basically can pre-program a part from the CAD model, the same CAD model that goes out to the machine tool to cut the part, we can use to actually program the part here. And it does in 4 or 5 minutes what it would take a human 2 or 3 hours to do. And the difference is not only the time, but the accuracy. Yeah, it is going to be within 3/4 10 thousandths of an inch versus my human error. If I look at it wrong, I'm going to be measuring it wrong.
Yeah, just the left or right you can be.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's got a barrel extension on there now. As with every AR barrel, you're required to have a barrel extension. It just ain't going to work if it doesn't have a barrel extension. And at one time we were buying our barrel extensions at $8 a piece. Well, when we got to the point of 1,000 a day, $8,000 a day was going to barrel extensions, we started cutting our own. Now we can make them still at $2,000 a day to keep up with the demand of the barrels for about $3.80 or $4 or $4.20 a piece.
So you make 2,000 barrels a day. If you stop making barrels today, when would the factory or the assembly plants run out of barrels?
Tomorrow. PSA consumes a lot of barrels. Tomorrow. A lot of barrels. I've got this workstation set up so that we can look at the total indicator run out of our barrel. Also the perpendicularity of the muzzle face and the breech face. And if you could see any movement of those needles, this is pretty typical of our shaft operation. And some people will challenge, oh, well, Bartline or Schillen or XYZ is better. You can't get better. I mean, yeah, there are barrels out there that are going to be 2,000, 3,000 total indicator runout. This one that I just happened to pick up is 0 all the way across. It's 0 perpendicularity on the breech face, 0 on the bolt face, and 0 on the indicators, indicating that the bore is true to the OD. And I didn't mean for it to happen that way. I just, as I was walking through this morning, I thought it'd be neat for you guys to see the way we're checking TIR. And I set it up, and when I got all the indicators set where they're supposed to be, I start spinning it, and I'm not seeing any movement, so I'm like, are my indicators asleep? But no, that's the way it just turned out. 2 spindles that are cutting 2 turrets. There's 2 turrets that are cutting 2 spindles. So in a minute and a half, he's pulling off 2 parts at a time. So we're pulling out 2,000 barrel extensions a day between these 2 machines because we just set that one up for the PSA adjustable gas block that's coming out. So that's kind of a new product for everybody. But we will actually get these barrel extensions that look just like that. That is our barrel extension blank. It takes the company right at 12 seconds or 16 seconds to make that part. And then it takes us about a minute and a half to cut 2 of them. Then those 2 spread out and on down the line. We've done quite a lot of work on that adjustable gas block just to make sure that we can run anything from 55 grain 5.56 up to a 600 grain 458 SOCOM, and it works great. Matter of fact, the rifles we were hitting a mile with were with that gas block. Not like that's really a performance enhancement, but for long distance shooters, you know that's going to be required depending upon how the weight difference in the bullet projectile you shoot. And this whole area again is barrel extensions. Every operation that is performed on the barrel extension, with the exception of the heat treat, is done here at this facility. And it takes more really to cut a barrel extension than it does a barrel, because there's more intricacy to that barrel extension. There's some swaging going on, some milling, drilling, turning. It's all kinds of geometry that's inside that barrel extension that you're not going to see on a barrel, because all of that geometry is on the extension. It holds a very tight OD tolerance. I think we're at plus or minus 12 or 13 micron, which if you took a human hair and split that human hair a dozen times, then you have the tolerance of the OD. We had 12 Haas VF2 set up to run 1,500 lower receivers a day. No, I'm sorry, a week. And PSA needed us to up that quantity, so we bought a building about less than a quarter of a mile to move these machines, and then buy more machines to get up to the quantity PSA is wanting to consume, which I don't think I'm allowed to say, but when it happens in another couple weeks, it's going to be insane. That was the first machine DC started cutting chopper parts with.
Oh wow, and it still works. What year?
Sorry. Why'd you have to ask that? Really?
I'm guessing, sorry, what was it? 86.
I was going to say in the mid to early 80s. 3 Takamatsu machines are cutting the final operation for the barrel extension. I think he's running a cycle time right at 30 seconds apart. After this operation, it's virtually done, except for the nitride. So we'll usually be boxing these up in groups of about 2,000 a day to go to nitride with the barrels. So in those tanks, they'll be nitride at the same time, same tone, same color.
So they nitride off-site, I know.
Yes.
Is it another company under the parent corporation or a separate company altogether?
Separate company. The newest cell, the DC machine. This is our upper receivers. We have 5 OKK horizontal milling machines. Every one of these machines right now has 32 lower receivers in it, and when it's running, they'll actually trade places, machine one tombstone and then swap them out, and then the operator can unload the finished product, put raw material back in, close the door, and then it cycles. So it's really, really fast. It's really accurate. We have a coordinate measuring machine behind us. High-speed measuring robot. You notice big, huge stack of boxes that are involved standardizing. We have to send those out to third party. Post office in the state, if not the
This is your
southeast.
office?
This is my office. I have an indoor rifle range that I test all the barrels. Not all.
So this is where the real quality control
This is
goes
it,
down,
yeah.
huh?
See, I can monitor all the processes from here and literally issue changes from this. But we do every R&D part will come to us. And we'll actually build a whole gun out of it to test that detent. Or that spring, does it work like it's supposed to? Well, the only way you're going to know is to literally build a gun to test that. But right in there is where I do all the testing. My target's at 50 just because I don't want to do all the MOA calculations. 69 and a half.
Right.
Why?
Would you say the max range length is here?
The max range of this,
Yeah.
69 and a half.
No, this is something I need in my house, an indoor range, and it's almost 70 yards. That is awesome. Well, that's it. The end of the DC Machine Tour, where your PSA barrels are made. Now we're gonna head into the Palmetto State, largest retail store in Summerville, South Carolina. Let's go check it out.
This is a AR-15 AK-47 build area. So as you see, there's bins in these cabinets right here that have all your strip lower parts in. And what they do is they actually are going to be having build classes for the customers. They can come in and build. takes about an hour time, and they will be able to build on these benches every day. They've got vices, tools, and all these countertops are working on, so they can hammer away and do whatever they need to on these countertops. So this is going to be something that they're going to be probably starting here very soon. They've been waiting for a long time for a lot of these parts to get caught back up on. But now that they got them, you're going to start seeing actual build classes inside the store for people that have never built an AR before. Back here you're going to have everything from PSA Firearms, FN SIG, Colt, Dan Wesson, Ruger. Pretty much every manufacturer that we carry is going to be stored in this back room. With that, there's also going to be in-store pickups from people that may order off the website and decide to have it shipped to a PSA location. All that stuff's going to be stored in here. So we do offer shipping to the store, and that's a positive for a lot of online customers because then they don't have to pay transfer fees. If you buy from PSA and have it shipped to a PSA store, you pick it up for free. You're going to pay shipping, and that's it. But yeah, so that's what the gun room is. This is probably where 90% of the business in the store comes out of. On average, this location probably does, on a slow day, 15 to 30 firearms. On Black Friday, you'll probably see close to 500 to 600 firearms leave this one location. It's an incredible amount of serial numbers that move through here. We actually just transferred over to a all computer program that stores all the data for the ATF instead of doing just paper. So now we also have paper forms and a digital copy for storage. So that's really helped, especially with customers that may take a little bit of time to get that proceed. It's a lot easier to track on that versus just doing the paper form. But also it's a little bit greener. We're not having to run through as much paper.
Oh, yeah.